I'm Rich Colgard, editor-at-large at Forbes, and I'm talking today with Sudheesh Nair, who's the CEO of Thoughtspot, and wonderful guest, and he is the brand, as you can see by his shirt.
Always represent.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me here, Rich.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you bet. Tell us what Thoughtspot does.
Thoughtspot I can give you in two different ways. The first, the boring way. We are the modern analytics front end for all cloud data. Okay? To make it simpler and more interesting way to explain that would be, we remove tax on curiosity when it comes to answering business questions based on data.
So you are really a 2020s version of business intelligence, an idea that's been around for some time, but really the new analytical powers because of the cloud and the plummeting costs of cloud computation, storage, and data ubiquity makes it a different game.
You know how to go right at the heart of the problem. Yes, the word business intelligence, I like it sometimes I don't like it. And I'll tell you why. When you say BI, the first thing people think of is Excel, because Excel is the biggest BI tool that's always deployed everywhere. Then people think about Tableau. Beautiful visualization that people see and like, and it's sort of like a safety blanket. Anytime you want to sound sort of smart, you got to have some pie charts in your presentation, right? That's what BI has been. But when the data moves to cloud though, I do think that things fundamentally change, because it's not like infrastructure moving to cloud. When infrastructure moves to cloud, instead of buying, you rent. When data moves to cloud, it actually comes alive, because now you can move your data. You can actually mash your data with third-party data. So the data is more alive. So when the data is constantly moving, to make sense of it, you have to have live analytics. So yes, we need the BI dollars, but we do think that we are building a new category called AI-driven sort of live analytics. Gartner likes to call it augmented analytics.
Well, the key to being live would really be reducing the latency among other issues, correct?
That is right. That's only one part of it. There are two parts to it. The first part is to make sure that it is, like you said, no delay. It has to be live. It has to be interactive. It's sort of like using Yelp. I'm hungry, but my decision is now going to be made based on 10 questions I ask. I haven't had burrito. Let me see burritos. Let me look at the photos. Can I walk to it? What's the price? Is it a hole in a wall? Is it too much hole in a wall, right? And then you make the decision, like seamlessly. You just interact with it, so natural, right? That's the first part. The other part is, I'm the one, hungry person. I'm the one who's making that decision. In the old BI, the people who were interacting with the data were data experts, not business experts. What Thoughtspot does, the second part, which I think is the most important part, is empowers the business users to directly interact with the data without learning SQL, without learning the data schemas and all the complexities that comes with it.
So would you say that you're part of the no-code, low-code revolution then, and just making sort of citizen data scientists out of ordinary business people who know a bit of finance?
Low-code, no-code is sometimes, I sometimes struggle with all these buzzwords, because sometimes we just jump on a bandwagon and then sometimes you jump off. What I really believe is that you create content, right? You create a lot of different types of content. You want to know who's watching it. Now, I'm sure someone is sending you a report saying, okay, this specific segment was watched by, 1,000 people. But the moment you see it, you have 10 questions. Are they like the right kind of people? Are they men versus women, young versus old, married versus non-married, exec versus salespeople? Imagine having the ability to have zero tax on your curiosity to ask and get those questions immediately answered in accurate and precise way with the visualization where necessary, where computation necessary. That is not sort of something that we can sort of capture in keywords like low code, no code. I think it is a fundamental transformation of how business engages with data.
Well, I love where it's leading, because I remember an article, this is maybe 5 years ago, when Brad Smith was still the CEO of Intuit, and somebody said, what's the number one thing you value in your direct reports and the people who rise to the ranks in your company? He said curiosity. But but as you point out, there was a tax to curiosity. Curiosity cost too much. It was maybe too disruptive of getting the job done in a short period of time.
There are two reasons why. The first part is like, you're absolutely right. I mean, kids learn so much. You know why? They have no sense of shame in asking questions. There are no stupid questions. They ask, why is the sky blue? Why is the earth flat? Whatever. The ability to ask questions and get answered requires the tools, because the parents are going to answer questions no matter what. B, having the ability to ask without any shame. As we grow, somehow we educate ourselves to have shame so that we don't ask questions. So people think that it's not smart to ask questions. So that's a cultural thing, right? Second, tools create too much of a barrier. For example, creating a Tableau report in the old BI world sometimes can be a week. Sometimes it can take 2 weeks to get the answers. If it takes 2 weeks to get a follow-on question answered, guess what? I'm not asking any more questions. So what we are doing at Thoughtspot is essentially removing the tools and that along with Snowflake and Databricks and others, because without cloud, we couldn't do this, right? Data moving to cloud enables us. But we're also embarking on the cultural transformation within the organizations so that they actually free up people to say, ask questions, dumb questions, good questions. Someone is going to learn when you ask questions.
Well, give us a representative customer of yours and a use case.
Across the board. So the entry-level product is $95 a month.
Yeah.
So imagine a self-publisher who's trying to improve the quality of the content they're writing based on data, right? I want to know how many people had coffee, how many of them were married versus unmarried, how many of them use app versus online. The ability to get those questions answered, so it could be an individual, all the way from the 3 of the top 5 global 500 companies trying to figure out how to manage supply chain with real-time data while weather is changing in Pacific, while sanctions are actually changing because of war in Europe. Imagine the data is moving constantly. This wasn't the case 10 years ago. Today, what happens now versus an hour from now will be very different. And if I can use that to move data to insight to knowledge to action, it becomes a competitive differentiator
and
for
really
business.
tighten that loop.
100%. And to do that, you need tools and empowerment.
Yeah. It almost sounds like what people pay thousands of dollars a month to rent a Bloomberg terminal, just in the narrower world of finance and assets.
You are 100% right. In fact, that is a good example of what can happen when you empower the right people with the data. The problem is, A, Bloomberg terminal is extremely esoteric and specific and bespoke. B, the people who are using is very highly proficient in what they do. Now imagine empowering a greeter at Walmart, to a supply chain specialist at Nike, one of our customers, by the way, I'm representing, or one of the marketing campaign specialists at Verizon. So the ability to enable business users to deliver better outcome for their customers require data to be frictionless accessible for them with respect to no tax on curiosity. That's a purpose. We call it inside the company, make the world more fact-driven.
Well, I love this no tax on curiosity. I'm curious how, since Thoughtspot has been around since 2012, but you became CEO what year?
2018.
And tell us about your how you got to Thoughtspot and your route to CEO and what you've learned along the way.
So so for me, it's always been, I've been stumbling on opportunities, and you be in the right place, be lucky, you associate with good people, things happen. We were talking just before this, Nutanix Mafia, you called it. Prior to Thoughtspot, I was with Nutanix, and the founder of Thoughtspot was one of the co-founders of Nutanix as well. So I was there for 8 years. We took the company public in 2016. After 2 more years, it became interesting for me to explore outside, and there are 2 things that I was secularly focused on. One was data, another one was security. Ajit reached out to me, and we had a conversation. And what I learned about Thoughtspot was phenomenal idea, great culture, core technology is really good, but it was not built for cloud. It was not, the distribution was still with a lot of friction. So for me, I realized that as long as the culture and the founders and the idea and the mission is really good, changing the company will be good, and it's something that will be challenging me. What I learned in the process is that there is a big difference between being a president of a public company and being a CEO of a private company. Doing that, transforming a company through COVID, I wouldn't recommend. It's not an easy thing to do, so I learned a lot. I also found that COVID is a phenomenal opportunity as well, because when the crisis hits, people come together to build. So I learned a lot, but what I fundamentally realized is that if you're surrounded by good people, you can face anything.
Well, it's interesting. COVID showed a lot of things. Warren Buffett likes to say in a recession, when the tide goes out, you discover who's been swimming naked.
Yep.
And COVID almost revealed the weakness of some corporate cultures. That when COVID hit, the companies that had not invested in strong corporate cultures were really pretty fragile.
Yeah, I kind of think of culture as a piggy bank. Good times you keep adding to it, so that when crap hits the fan, you can actually break it and take something out of it. And the problem is when things are going well, companies don't think about culture. And human nature is that when everything is going well, people look for what's in it for me. It is much easier to bring the company together when a crisis hits. So oftentimes leaders miss that opportunity in the middle of a crisis. Good people want to be part of solving problems. So it's not that difficult to build good culture when chips are down.
Well, Sudheesh, it's been a joy talking today on MontyTV, and I really look forward to our on-stage Q&A tomorrow.
Very good. Same here. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet.